All right. Well, hello and welcome to another in the series of Young Partner Accelerator, everything you need to know about being a partner in a law firm. I am thrilled to have with me today Maher, who is with the law firm of Hecht Solberg et al. He's in San Diego. They just celebrated their 50th anniversary, and they are a small boutique real estate and business law firm. Today, we're going to talk about what it takes to be a partner. And so, Mickey, welcome. Glad to have you with me today. And I'm going to get you started with before they're made partner. I want to know what your firm looks at when you're trying to make that decision.
Well, first, thank you for inviting me. It's a terrific honor to be here, and wish all the young senior associates and partners with whom you're communicating, wish them well in their journey. Uh, the the a lot of firms are very opaque about what it takes to become partner. We are probably at the opposite end of that spectrum. We're very transparent. We have a set of criteria. They're not objective necessarily. They're subjective. But the first and foremost is you look for the ability of a lawyer to feed himself or herself and feed others. And that means not just generating, going out and finding clients of their own and so on, but it means throughout the course of their career as an associate, they've worked with existing clients of the firm. Clients have stuck with them. They've developed relationships within those clients, and they're able to, the old paradigm of grind, mind, and find. But the first step really is minding that clients stick. And from that, as they grow in their seniority and their ability to do work, they're passing it to the younger associates, teaching the under associates, learning to delegate when they're a senior associate, and being available for questions and so on, so that they really develop those skills. It's not something where you can wait to your seventh or eighth year and say, "Oh, now I'm going to think about doing this." It's really having that mindset throughout their career path.
So you mentioned two things. You've got the feed yourself, which is the business development side, which I'll ask
Mhm.
a question about that in just a minute. But you said that they need to be able to delegate and do all these kinds of things. What are skills beyond business development? Because we'll get to that. What are the
Mhm.
skills that someone needs to be a successful partner? The not the lawyer skills, but the people skills and all that.
Well, first of all, I mean, you do have to, goes without saying, you have to have the ability and the talent to deliver high quality legal work. And that means early in your career, writing the right contract, doing the right motion, getting all that stuff right. But it's over time bringing judgment to bear. And you learn that by being involved in other, matters with the more senior lawyers in the firm, learning how they relate to the clients. But being able over time to oversee more complex matters, manage teams of people, uh, treat the staff with respect. They are a tremendous resource for young lawyers coming in about, not just where the coffee pot is, but how do I get this navigated through, this particular matter navigated through and get it filed correctly so it doesn't get kicked? How do I get, ducks in a row for a closing? The paralegals and staff have been through it before. Um, but developing a reputation for excellence within your firm, with the clients with whom you have contact, have a relationship orientation as you're introduced to people. Develop those relationships. Don't just treat it what you're handed as a task. It's broader than that in everything you do.
So
Um, but I mean, I don't mean to ramble here, but exercise leadership. Um, Take younger associates under your wing, mentor them. Remember, you were there just a few years ago and how you were struggling. Don't put them through the same struggle. Be available for questions. Think about how frustrating it was. You were handed, a stack of materials and given an assignment, and then the partner who delegated to you wasn't available to answer questions. Be available. So, I mean, I'm not sure that covers all of it, but those are a few nuggets.
no, I so many things you've said are ringing in my mind. So let's just deal with be available in the hybrid world of today. Are you in the office every day? I know you're not because you're in your home office right now.
Yeah.
How does a young partner deal with be available when the young associate can't walk down the hall? What do you think about that?
Cell phones. We have, each of us has, well, first of all, we're in the office 3 days a week. Tuesdays and Thursdays are our anchor days. And then a lot of folks have taken Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Some are Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. I will confess, Friday's pretty much a ghost town, according to the folks who are usually there. But even during the pandemic, clients had my cell phone, other lawyers in the firm had my cell phone, the staff had my cell phone, and they could call anytime, day or night. I can't promise I'm going to answer in the middle of the night, but they can call. I've gotten text messages last night at 11 o'clock that I responded to. Uh, just the tools we have for communication make it so you can be available.
Yeah,
The struggle is balancing that, of course, with home life and so on.
right.
And my situation is somewhat unique. Our kids are grown and gone, and I don't have those dynamics. But if have a young family, you've got to set parameters and juggle that. And no one size fits all. That you have to work on it individually. What works for you? What works for your family? What works for your clients?
Yeah, yeah. So being available really in the hybrid world means being intentional about it. Making those phone calls, giving out your cell phone numbers, receiving texts, and all of that. You also said in the beginning of what you're talking about the business development, being able to feed yourself. So let's talk a little bit about business development skills. Obviously somebody made partner because they've demonstrated some level of being able to feed themselves, as you mentioned. But this is going to a lot of partners in different size firms and all of that. And you come from a relatively small firm. What are the skills they made partner? So they have some level of skill, but what are more skills, or maybe not even skills? What are activities that you would encourage the young partners to be focused on once they get over that hump and now they're a partner? What are some of the things that they should do to continue that? And I'll preface it by saying you mentioned just before client relationships. So maybe address that as well.
Okay. The first thing is anything you're handed to do from the very beginning of your career, do good work, concentrate on it. You're not always going to be introduced to the client right up front, but when you are made that introduction, be gracious, be responsive, and connect with that person. And the reason for that is that person may be someone in that organization right now, but they may grow up in that organization, strike out on their own, form their own organization, and gravitate back to you because they had a good experience. That's what you want to do. Is anybody you work with wants to say, you want them to say, gee, it was solid legal work. They were responsive. I had a great experience working with them. I want to do that again. That's the best business development, is doing great work for existing clients. No matter who you're introduced to within that client organization. Other than that, uh, get out, we've been locked down with COVID for several years, but there are bar association activities, trade association activities, and that's going to vary from industry and industry. Uh, we're concentrated in real estate and business law. We do a lot with attending matters for Urban Land Institute, ICSC, the International Council of Shopping Centers, National Association of Industrial Office Properties. We have folks who are involved in those different groups. There's an organization here in San Diego called Lawyers Club that concentrates on promoting women in the legal profession. And that organization's been around for, I think, 50, 60 years. If you don't have an organization like that in your community, start one. Get together with a group of people and say, this is, because 50, 60 years ago, somebody did that in San Diego. There's no reason you can't do it now. We've always found that getting involved in the program committee of outside organizations is a very good way, because you are then responsible for putting together that organization's trajectory of presentations for 12 months. You're not just connecting with people within the organization, but you've got to pick up the phone and call people and say, would you like to come speak at our event? That's another good way to get your name out there and be, extending yourself within your industry, your client's industry.
So it's
Um,
not just joining the organization,
no.
it's being active within the organization.
Yes, absolutely. And as I said, we find the program committee is a good way to start. That can lead to other positions, but you demonstrate your ability and responsibility to the organization by, I'd like to get involved here. That may later lead to being the secretary, treasurer, president, whatever. But starting on that program committee is a good foothold.
So
Uh,
what would you recommend, or how would you recommend a young partner approach their firm that they want to join an organization and get active in it, and it costs money to join an organization? What advice would you give them, and how to present it to their firms that they should be allowed to do this and support
yeah,
it?
yeah, I would connect with a partner who is in that organization and ask them how they got involved. Learn, it's you don't have to start from scratch. People have done it before. Learn from them, but it's a matter of, if money is the issue, say, okay, i'm willing to I'm willing to take a gamble on joining this organization. I'll split it with you. You cover half, I'll cover half. Because in the long term, becoming involved in those organizations doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get client referrals from those organizations, but it establishes your imprimatur of credibility. It increases your visibility. You're known in the community. And this isn't just trade associations, nonprofits of whatever interest you have. They can be, um, the local dog shelter. You get involved in that, and people come to trust and rely on your judgment. But you're not going to start out walking in and saying, "Oh, I want to be on the board." You have to demonstrate a commitment and interest in the organization, and that you're able to do things other than bring judgment to bear. You're able to be a foot soldier for a while before you step into leadership roles.
So let me ask you a question, because you said maybe split the cost so that
Mhm.
the young partner has skin in the game. And I really love that idea. And I've been in law for 30 years, and I remember when lawyers paid for all these things out of their own pockets. It
Mhm.
seems like some of the younger partners now have more of an expectation that the firm should cover everything, all costs. Just from your wealth of knowledge and experience, and I'm really throwing you a hardball, a softball. I'm not really sure what kind of question. How much money do you think, if I was a young partner, that I should sit down with my accounting and say, I'm going to invest in me? How much money do you think a young partner should invest in their own career?
uh, yeah, that. You can edit that out. Uh, it depends on what they're aiming for. If it's taking clients to lunch, yeah, get reimbursed every so often, but sometimes not. But if it's truly going to an organization, think through it. Go to the accounting people or go to the partner who's in the organization now with a plan. Think it through. If the cost is $1,000 a year, say, look, I'm willing to share 500 of this. And then if it really works out, you will split it the first year 50-50. If it works out, you pay more of it next year and grow into that, where the firm is paying all of it because you demonstrated with your involvement in the organization that it pays dividends to the firm.
I like that. I like that. You're proving it. You're doing the return on investment
Right.
of that organization.
There have been organizations where we've had people say we'd like to join and try to get involved with this, and it hasn't worked out, and we back off from it. But you not every outside organization is going to be the right one to be involved in.
I love what you said, back off on that. let me take that down a different path. You have a prospective client and they've been in your radar for a year, and you've taken them to lunch and you've seen them at some events, things like that. How much time would you invest in a potential client before you actually would make the decision to just back off?
I, I would think you know pretty quickly whether there's a chemistry there that connects with a client or a prospective client. Uh, we're fortunate that much of our clientele comes from referrals. We do good work in our industry. You get known as among the brokers as, oh, they're deal makers, not deal killers. You get known by the title insurance companies, engineers, surveyors, other people who provide services to these clients, and you get referred. It's rare for us to go out and say, oh, there's some, that client's represented by somebody else. We're going to go get them. So I'm not sure I have a clear answer for you on that question.
Nope.
We make it a point, even when someone's referred to us because somebody else has a conflict, we don't steal clients. There's nothing that will erode your reputation in the community more quickly than stealing someone else's client that's been referred to you for an isolated matter.
I like what you were talking about though on the referral side, that you mentioned, the title companies and all these other referral sources. Talk to us about the importance of referral sources and how do you manage those relationships?
Those are absolutely indispensable. We invite title insurance companies in California aren't permitted to take lawyers or other people to lunch or solicit business in that way. They used to do it all the time. State law changed, and title companies are not allowed to do that. So what we can do, and what we've done fairly regularly, is they have products that they are interested in promoting, website access to property reports and so on. We invite them to come to our firm for lunch, two or three of their people, our whole group, lawyers, paralegals. They make a presentation to us. We answer questions, we connect with them in that way. We've fed them, they've seen our office, they've gotten to know us as a group. There's chatting with them before the presentation, chatting with them after. We found it a great way to connect with those sorts of providers. And it's not just title insurance companies. We've had insurance companies do it. Our own insurance provider, they come and present to us. And we go to them as well. They say, gee, we'd like you to come and talk to us about X topic. We're happy to go do that. Not too long ago, we talked with a brokerage firm about letters of intent in leasing transactions, uh, that sort of thing, going to them. And then you just open it up for questions. You'd be surprised the breadth of questions out there. It's sort of like, free for all, ask the lawyer day. But it enables you to connect with them in a way other than working on a particular matter.
Well, and it's a really good business development activity to offer, whether it's continuing education that maybe they need for their profession, or it's CLE for other lawyers that might end up referring work to you.
Mhm.
It's educating the associations, going to their conferences and offering up content. It's getting you in front of people and hopefully making that chemistry you said, right?
Certainly. And again, my wheelhouse is real estate and business, but I would imagine there's forensic experts and accounting, all sorts of different experts in different fields that with whom you can make this connection. Patent and trademark firms can make it with different scientists or other folks who advise as experts.
So it's very interesting because everything we're talking about is relationships.
Oh,
I,
absolutely.
but I think, people go into the practice of law because they want to save the world or they want to make a lot of money or, whatever their reasons. But it sounds like it's all about people.
Of course, it absolutely is. It's all about the relationships. Now, again, our practice is transaction focused. We have clients who've been with our firm nearly our entire 50-year history because they have been with an organization we represented back in the 1970s or 1980s. They struck out on their own. they've grown their companies, and people within those organizations have gravitated back. I'm working with Lenthal. In fact, I owe him a private placement memo today. Uh, he was with a client, and those folks struck out from a different client 20 years ago. So it's sort of a third generation of gravitating back to the firm. Again, it all comes back to doing good work. They've had a good experience. They know you're knowledgeable, and they it will instill. You have to instill trust and confidence. You have to be humble about it. You can't just parade around and say, "Oh, I know all this stuff." You have to demonstrate it on an ongoing basis, being available, being responsive, and at some point, I always thought the greatest gratification is the client asking, "What do you think?"
I
Because
love
that's when you really become an advisor. I mean, there's a lot of lawyers parade around and say, "Oh, we're trusted advisors." Whether you're a trusted advisor is the client's decision, not yours. They, you have
Bingo.
to, you have to instill the confidence, but it's their decision whether to instill, rely on you for your judgment and have trust and confidence in you.
Well, you know what? That is a great way for me to ask my final question to you. If I want to become a trusted advisor as a young partner, what would be one piece of advice or two pieces of advice that you would give me?
uh, be humble. When people look upon partnership as, oh, this is the goal, I've got the brass ring. Maybe I'm dating myself with that, that reference. But it's not it's an achievement, to be sure, and people will congratulate you and accept those congratulations with grace. But it's a beginning. You're starting on a new relationship, new responsibilities. You're no longer an employee, you're an employer. And all of a sudden the associates, the staff, everyone else is relying on your skills, talents, and the confidence the clients have in you to feed, clothe, and shelter their families. So just be humble, be confident, don't be arrogant. Uh, Recognize that it's an accomplishment, but it's also taking on new responsibilities, and you have to shoulder those. It's an opportunity to share in the profits of the organization, but it's also an opportunity to bear in the losses and bear responsibility, and that's oftentimes lost. With the upside, there's potential for downside, and you've got to be prepared to shoulder that. You're an owner.
You're an owner. I know that you helped me with an article I wrote on ownership mentality, and it's a great place to wind this up. Is that you become a partner, whether you're a young partner or an old partner, you are a partner, which means you're an owner. So with that, Mickey, I thank you very much for your time sharing your thoughts and your wisdom with us today. Again, this is the Young Partner Accelerator series where we meet interesting partners who share their wisdom with us. The Young Partner Accelerator program is going to be October 20th and 21st at the University of Chicago Gleacher Center, and you can join us, and we would love to have you. Thank you. Goodbye.